So I was like, what's the purpose of being here when I can actually do the same thing, being at home, reducing all my expenses?
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Designer Future podcast.
Hey, first and foremost, thank you very much for having me. I'm Pascu Dragos. I own a content marketing agency and I'm currently based in Romania. Pleasure to be on the show.
Amazing. So we've actually known each other for a little while. So before we get into the nitty gritty stuff, like let's just quickly talk about how we first met, because we've known each other for, I'd probably say 3 or 4 years at this point now. Like,
yeah, I think it's roughly about 3 years.
And life was different then as well, right? For both of us, like life was very, very different. We was both on a very different path when we first sort of met each other. So yeah, let's talk about that a little bit before we jump in. What was you sort of doing at that point?
Honestly, I don't even remember how we came across each other. Like, I don't know if I reached out to you or you reached out to myself. I don't remember, but I know for a fact that we were both more into the fitness, at least myself. I was freshly finishing a men's physique competition. I was freshly moving to London, and I was all about fitness. I thought that this is going to be my career. I'm going to become a PT. I was doing YouTube vlogs, filming myself, filming my workouts. And I think the first time when we met, we actually had a workout together, and that was the whole purpose of filming our workouts.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, so we actually, I think the first time we actually met each other was a YouTube event, but like a fitness YouTubers event. That was the first time, and it was obviously all like these other bigger YouTubers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And we just come. I knew someone else that was there, and they just said come along. So I was like, yeah, cool. In Hyde Park, I think it was. So
yeah,
that was it.
Now I remember. You're right.
But that was a long time ago now. Really cool, really like decent event. It was just natural sort of coming and just people getting together and sort of getting to know each other. And that's the thing, like we networked with that. So, and then sort of went on to grow sort of a friendship, if you like, as well. So yeah, and then we went and done like the filming together as well. So I think that's really cool. How have you sort of progressed then now? Because like you said, at that point you was like, I was in the same boat as well. I was working in the gym at that point. I was like, I'm gonna be a PT forever. I'm gonna work in the gym forever. I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. And my head was just solely focused on fitness at that moment in time. And like you said, you was daily vlogging at the time. So firstly, do you miss the daily vlogging? And how have you sort of progressed now? Like, because you're obviously not daily vlogging anymore. Obviously YouTube, I'm guessing, isn't like the main priority for you now. And you sort of switched up. You're not so much into fitness. I know you obviously are. We both still sort of train, I would say. But yeah, let's sort of dive into where you're at now and how you've progressed from that sort of starting point.
Right. So to answer the question, no, I'm not daily vlogging at all anymore. Reason being, mostly, the priorities have changed ever since. Speaking of like 2 years ago, I was in a position where I freshly graduated. Sorry, I moved to London. I had almost no money to my name, and all I thought about was I'm going to get a 9 to 5 or something that can actually help me pay my bills whilst making it into the fitness industry through YouTube, through Instagram, becoming an influencer eventually, and everything basically changed ever since. At the moment, I'm only doing fitness to like maintain my physical and mental well-being, physical health and mental well-being, and I just use it as a tool. It's not revolving around my life as much, whereas now my main focus is on my business.
And I think you're going to be a really interesting one for people that are watching and listening and they're interested in like the YouTube scene and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Do you talk to me a little bit about like your mindset then? Because obviously like I was probably in the same boat of like, I didn't really know what I was creating videos for at that point, if you know what I mean. Like I was just documenting my life, and obviously that was sort of what you was doing. Like I used to check out the videos, of course. But do you look back at that and your, like me, like I look back at it and I'm like what was I doing, because I'm proud and I'm happy that I've got that content to look back at it. But I also think like if I would have just taken a step back and really thought about what I was doing, who I was actually trying to talk to, then maybe like my growth on YouTube would have been completely different. Whereas now I sort of know exactly who I'm talking to. Yes, I'm still documenting my life, but I sort of have a bigger picture and a bigger purpose.
Well, absolutely. I totally agree with you. And I think it's firstly and most importantly a matter of having a clarity upon the things that you want to achieve in the medium to long term. Back then, yes, I enjoy doing the videos. I don't regret it at all. I still think that it was like the driving force for myself and for what I'm currently doing with my clients.
Mm-hmm.
At the time, I was simply just enjoying the process of like training and documenting, because I was watching people such as Christian Guzman, the Gymshark athletes. Like back in the day, the fitness industry wasn't as saturated. There were not as many YouTubers, which was good and a bad thing at the same time. But yeah, basically, I had no clear objective, no clear strategy of how I was going to approach the whole content production, because it was taking me like 20 hours a week or so to produce all of that content. I still had to like go to uni. I still had a part-time job. I still had to like do grocery and all that household stuff. So I would say it was a waste of time, but at the same time, I would say that was the time wasted in a good manner. Meaning that I learned how to edit. I learned like the YouTube algorithm. I know how to make thumbnails. I know what YouTube is about. I know how to create a story. I know how to make something look more interesting. So it was a learning curve. But will I go back and do that again? Probably not.
Amazing. And I think that's so important. But yeah, like I said, like I love watching back those videos. Like, although I wouldn't I wouldn't even suggest other people to watch them, because it's like there's no story, there's no nothing. It's just like random clips just pushed together. But me personally, like I love going back and watching it, because like you said, you see how you started and how you've progressed. And now I look back at older videos and I'm like, it makes me just want to make another video and make it 100 times better than that one. So yeah, so talk to me a little bit now about what you are now doing with these clients, because like you said, you built up, although yeah, you might think it's time wasted, you did seriously build up a lot of good skills that you can now monetize to clients. So talk to me a little bit what you're now doing for clients.
Of course, sure. So currently, actually had to like change my whole strategy in the way that I work, because prior to the pandemic, I used to like go in person, shoot different events, different people, athletes, influencers, and like basically act as a self-employed video production type of guy. Like now, the difference is I have to do everything remotely. I moved to Romania. I'm no longer in London. And what I basically do is I work with executives and leaders in sales, coaches, people that are already very good at what they do, and I help them market themselves. I help them create content through their podcasts, through their now virtual events. Like back like last year, they used to like go on stage and speak, but now everything is done through Zoom, which is good and bad. So yeah, I help those people to market themselves, to establish them as authorities in their industries.
Amazing. And what sort of motivates you now? Like you said, you just moved back to Romania. I know you was in London for a long time. What's sort of motivating you to continue creating content?
I think the main reason behind everything that I do is, in a nutshell, the fact that I'm eventually going to die and I don't know when. Like, as cliche as it might sound, I always remind myself that whenever I'm scared or whenever I feel like I might fail at something, I'm like, so what? Like, I'm eventually going to die anyways. People are not going to remember me. So I better just make the most out of it. So I feel like creating content at the moment is something that I enjoy most of the times. But when I don't enjoy it, I'm like, still, like, I have to get it done.
Yeah, for sure. And am I right in thinking that you did take a break from creating like your own personal content as well?
Yeah. I did take a break, mostly because it was a very big. It's probably been the biggest shift of my life. When I moved to London, I had to like forget about the whole fitness scene. I had to forget about counting calories, training 7 times a week, and
Mm.
like literally spending a lot of money and energy on my physical appearance, if you wish. And I had to like move towards like the entrepreneurship route. I had to like optimize my health for productivity. I had to like educate myself financially, educate myself marketing wise, and all that stuff. So yeah, that's purely why I kind of stepped away from like making my own content. Yeah, hope that
Mhm.
answered your question.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Excuse me. Right, in terms of running your business and creating content for these other clients now, if I was to come into your phone and I was to delete 3 apps, what would those 3 apps be that you would seriously struggle without tomorrow? So in terms of just either creating the content for your clients or maintaining the clients, what apps do you sort of use on a regular basis?
Right. So I like the fact that you actually mentioned that those apps have to do with my business because I'm using a variety of apps for health, sleep, and all that.
But
I
like,
would say,
I'd love to hear about the health and sleep ones as well. If you've got any like productivity apps and stuff like that,
of course,
definitely.
of course. So let's start with the business side. I've tried a lot of apps for productivity, like tried probably at least 5 of them. At the moment, what is keeping track of my daily tasks, what is keeping me accountable is Trello. Most of your audience has probably heard of it already. I've
I
tried
make a lot of
numerous,
Trello videos, yeah.
I've heard a lot of other apps. I've tried them, but Trello still seems to be like the most solid one. So that would be the thing that keeps me productive. And then Asana is what keeps my team productive because I have to watch over their tasks. I have two editors and a graphic designer that I work with, and I'm not an organized person. Like I have to admit that. And if I was to not use Asana, I used to use Monday.com. Now I'm using Asana, which I feel like it's a bit more user friendly. I wouldn't be able to know what they are doing, if they are where they should be in terms of like deadlines. So Asana is really it's keeping me sane in terms of like making sure that things are getting done. And then I would say the third one is Google Calendar, which is helping me organize my time wisely. It's always helping me schedule calls such as this one, schedule calls with my clients, and also helping me do time blocks over the weekend when I want to relax. Like I'm always using Google Calendar to structure my days. So that's for business. And then if you want to talk about more health and like habits, I'm a huge advocate of habits. I recently came across a very cool app which is called Strakes. I'm not sure whether it's for Android users as well. Yeah, I love that book.
Okay.
I'm not sure whether it's on Android as well, but it's definitely on iPhone. And basically, what it does is it's asking you to create a bunch of habits, and it's keeping track of that habits. And at the end of each day, you have to like complete the habits. And like yeah, basically, uh, it's keeping myself accountable. Do I always hit all of those habits? No, but it's showing me how many days in a month I've been able to like stick to my habits, and that's really keeping me accountable. And then another very good app that I highly recommend for people that are striving to have better performance, especially entrepreneurs, is a sleep app which comes with uh, some sort of like tracker. It's called Whoop. I'm not sure whether you heard of it already or not.
Yeah.
So far, I have been using it for I think it's just a year now, and I'm very satisfied with it. Like it's amazing. I think it's the most accurate
You
sleep
have to
tracker out there.
you have to sleep with that on though, right?
Yeah. I never take care of like even when I shower or when I train or whatever. It's always on my wrist.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I'm debating getting one of the Aura rings because I've
It's quite
seen those.
similar.
I know they're similar. I don't think I could wear that because I'd like a watch, so I don't think I'd be able to wear the strap. But I've heard good things about it. To be fair, I've heard mixed reviews, but then again, I've heard mixed reviews with the Aura ring as well. So, just one thing I want to touch on then. is you mentioned using Trello and Asana. So how comes you use both of them? Because I know they're predominantly the same kind of tool, just obviously like competitors. So how comes, just from like a personal standpoint, how comes you're using both of them?
Well, I only came across Asana like a month ago, and I I like I like the fact that it's a bit more user friendly for teams. Whereas Trello, at least for myself, I feel like it's a bit more. It's not as visual. I don't really like its design that much. It's more black and white. It's great for myself for like keeping my tasks together. But when it comes to like assigning tasks to my team, I feel like Asana is a bit more user friendly, and it also connects with. I'm not sure whether Trello does. It connects with Slack. So whenever a task gets done or it doesn't get done on time, I get notified on Slack. Which is the app that I use. I should have mentioned the Slack as well as the app that I use with my team. So yeah, that's the main purpose.
Amazing. Yeah, and you can integrate Trello with Slack as well. Using, actually, I think you can do it. I'm pretty sure I've done it directly, but even like with Zapier and stuff like that, you can automate it. I know I just picked up that book because you were talking about habits, but is there a specific book? If let's say that someone has weirdly landed on this video, I don't know how that would have ever happened, but let's say that someone's typed in how to start their own business, for example, or how to start an online business, because like you said, at this moment in time, you're doing everything online. So let's imagine this is the first thing that someone's seen. What direction would you point them in terms of getting their first client online? In terms of like resources, YouTube videos, like a book? I like to try and keep this as vague as I can, but you know, my question is usually, what books do you read? But I want to try and open that up a little bit further.
Yeah, of course. I mean, it's worth mentioning that I've been a very huge advocate of podcasts. Like I remember last year I got like some analytics from Spotify. I listened to like a couple of hundreds of hours worth of podcasts. But I came to the conclusion that I was finding it more entertaining rather than educational. Like it became a habit. It was good. It was keeping me motivated and all that, which is very good, especially when you're getting started. But when you actually, as you mentioned, you want to open a business, you want to go to the next level, I feel like podcasts don't have that depth. I would rather listen to an audiobook or read a book.
Yeah.
And if there's only one book that I can recommend, obviously, there are so many books that I will recommend right now, but one that I'm currently reading and I cannot recommend enough is The Master Key to Riches by Napoleon Hill. Probably most of you have already read or heard about Think and Go Rich, which is, of course, a bestseller. I think it's one of the best books out there. But what I found with this one, it's a bit more straightforward and it's a bit more easy to understand in a way that you have all the information laid out for you. You don't really have to guess.
A little bit more actionable, would you say?
Yeah.
Not just filled with like stories and stuff. Because that's one thing as well. Just before you jump in, is like there's a lot of books and a lot of resources like that. But it's like, of course, they need to write a book. They can't just write like step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, like they need to make it an actual piece of content. So yeah, that's pretty cool that you said that, because I think some of those books are like, they'll talk about all these stories and all this stuff that happened in the past. And you're like, yeah, it's cool. But it's like, there might be only sections of these books that you're like, shit, like that's what I open this book for.
The thing with stories is obviously we evolved through stories, through telling stories. And I'm not sure about you or your audience, but when I read, whenever there's a story correlated to the reading, I tend to remember that stuff more. Whereas if there were just actionable stuff, yes, they are good, but I wouldn't be able to remember them. I think it's a double-edged sword. Like it's more actionable, but I tend to forget it faster. At least that's how it works with myself. But yeah.
Yeah, no, definitely. Do you use ClickFunnels at the moment?
No, I don't. I'm aware of ClickFunnels. Obviously, I follow the CEO, and I worked with people that use ClickFunnels. I know it's like huge. But no, I don't use it currently, mainly because I don't necessarily see the value to where I am at the moment. Like, I still feel like I need to have a bigger budget to be able to invest in ClickFunnels and actually get a good reward back.
Amazing, amazing, cool, makes sense. The next question I'd like to ask is around cold email, but I kind of want to flip the script with you and sort of ask, I don't like to say what's your best form of outreach, but if we was to have like a little challenge, right, and it was like, okay, who can go get a client the quickest, or you know, who can get a client within the next 2 days, where would you go to first? Like, what would be your sort of actionable steps? Like we said, there's a lot of stories out there and stuff like that, but if I was to ask you for a 3-step formula for you to go and get your next client, what would that look like?
It's a very, very good question, and obviously is the thing that is probably on the mind of every business owner. Like, everyone needs more leads, everyone needs more clients, and it's definitely something that I'm currently testing and learning. I've been probably trying all the things out there. Like, I've tried cold email, I've tried Lemlist, which is a very good cold email automation. I've tried a lot of plugins for LinkedIn to do automated outreach. But what I found so far is the fact that we have to always remember ourselves that people buy from people, meaning if you're not acting like a human and you are trying to automate everything,
yeah,
people will see that. Like, they will see themselves treated like a number. They will recognize the fact that you probably sent that same message to 100 people that day, maybe even more. And I don't know how your audience or yourself feel, but whenever I open LinkedIn and I see the same scripts and the same messages and the same cold outreaches over and over again, it's just, I think it's just first and foremost repetitive and it's not authentic. So to answer your question, I would say that the fastest and most repeatable process that I can offer to your clients, I'm not necessarily referring to a specific platform because it really depends on your audience and who you're trying to reach, but it's basically building a relationship first and then actually trying to see if you can help that person. Because if you don't have the relationship, there's no trust. Therefore, that person is going to perceive you as just another guy who's trying to sell them something. Mm-hmm. They're not going to perceive you as someone that could potentially help them. Because obviously we are people, we are selfish beings. Whenever I open a chat, I'm thinking of, okay, what's my interest here? What can I get out of this chat? Is this guy trying to sell me something, or are they actually trying to help me? Can I benefit from their service or product, or are they just trying to like make me transfer some money into their bank account? I think that's the switch that people have to do whenever they're trying to like generate leads and like close sales.
Amazing. And I think with that sort of being said, you've just sort of narrowed it down to the fact that people need to like, know, and trust you, right? So that's one thing that I sort of hate, and that's why I don't like cold call, and I don't really do a lot of like cold messaging and stuff. You really need to put in that effort to build a relationship first. So, you know, engage with people that you want to work with. And this is why I always say, like he just said, you know, sending out 100 messages a day, like every single day. Like, when you think about that, I used to think of it like, oh, if you send out all of these messages, like at least 5 to 10 of these are going to get back to you. At least 5 of them are definitely going to get on a call, and then I could probably close at least 4 out of 5 of them, right? So you sort of need to break it down. But when you really think about it and you put yourself first and you think, do I actually want to work with these people? That's been my biggest thing, is like, I'd rather reach out to 10 people that I am dying to work with, because they're going to be able to see that in the way that I speak to them. I'm not, and if there are 10 people that I'm dying to work with, I'm not just going to copy and paste the script. Do you know what I mean? So I think you've sort of hit the nail on the head there. Is, I think you need to put yourself first as well. Put yourself first, but put the person who you want to work with first as well. Because if you're just spamming 100 people a day with the same message and just changing their fucking name at the start of the email or the Instagram message, Facebook message or whatever, that they don't want to work with you, because you clearly don't really want to work with them. You just want to, like you said, you just want to get their money. So I think that is a really good point. And yeah, for the people watching and listening, like, if you do want to work with someone, then it should be a long-term game. Like, I've had people that have come into my funnel, if you like, they've sort of been aware of who I am just because of me engaging with them, you know, telling them they're doing a good job when they're creating content. And it can easily be sometimes 6 months down the line after we initially sort of spoke to each other that they go that, and as well, creating content is going to be a big thing for this as well. So becoming an authority by creating good content is going to have a big impact, especially when you're making those touch points with people and they can see, oh, this guy is actually doing what he says he does. He's creating content every day. He's showing other like client stuff and all of that. But that's the way that I would suggest it, because then you're going to have people coming back to you, and you haven't necessarily then got to sell your service, because it's like the proof is in the pudding. Like, if you're creating content around it and you're just being nice to these people, like you're being yourself, you're engaging with people, people will come to you. And trust me, it's a lot easier to sell people when they come to you. Any tips for someone that was just getting, I know we spoke about getting your first client, but when it comes to content creation and actually the back end side of a business, because like you said, you know, you're dealing with sort of like your financial literacy in a sense as well, studying, you know, how to budget your money and budget your time as well. So any tips for people just coming into creating content for their self? So let's say, like you said, they're coming in, they want to learn how to edit their videos, they want to learn how to start creating graphics, etc.
Of course. Yeah, it's a very good question, because obviously nowadays everyone is either looking to or already trying to create some sort of content, which is amazing, in my opinion. I would say the most important thing, and it's probably the thing that I've been struggling with over the years, creating content, is being more organized and actually having a plan when doing everything. Like, what sort of content are you planning to create? Is it going to be video? Is it going to be carousels for Instagram? Is it going to be just a blog post? Like, you have to know exactly what content you want to produce, for how long, how many days are going to be covered by that content, and then you narrow it down. Okay, so I want to make 3 videos and 2 artworks every single week. Okay, what is that going to require? Well, I can actually film those videos in a matter of 4 hours. Okay, let's block a 4-hour window on a Friday or on a Sunday morning, whenever is best for you. Get that all done, and then after that, you can actually block another 2 hours to edit the stuff. Whereas if you don't really have the clarity and you start recording something on a Monday, editing on a Tuesday, and then a client comes to you and you have to make some changes for them, and then you have to go train, and then you miss an hour of sleep because you have to wake up early and to upload, I think that is a whole mess, and it usually rounds you down into burnout. I've been there several times, and it never ends up well. You end up being sorry for yourself. You're gonna feel discouraged, like I failed again. And I think it's just a matter of having the structure, having the clarity, and having the intent. Because if you don't have all of these things together, it's going to be a whole mess, especially if you're a business owner and you have clients as well. Because let's keep in mind that when you're having clients, they come first. Like, your content can wait. So if you don't have that 100%. Whole organization, you're not gonna be able to like keep consistent.
100%. And you know, I think this is really important as well, and it's something I haven't really gone into detail with anyone that's sort of come on here. And I think you're sort of different to some of the guests I've had on because of the work you've done with clients. If I was to ask you, like, what's one thing that you're really, really proud of in terms of creating the content? Because I think being in the position that like myself and you are, is you can do a lot of work for people. And I know you obviously put it out to your own audience, but a lot of the time it's distributed to their audience because that's who you're creating the content for. But is there a particular client that you've worked with over the years that you're just like, so, you know, you're so proud of that work that you've done for them, or it's like something that you always tell people, whether it's like your family and your friends? I'm big, like when I work with people and I'm really proud of it, like I'll tell my family and my friends, or like at least my family, like, oh, like look at this video I just done for X, or look at this video I've done for Y. So is there something that really stands out for you that you've done in the past, that, you know, you're really, really proud of?
It's a very, very good question. And to be honest, I really have to think about it. If I think about
Sorry, just to jump in, like this guy's videos are insane. Like some of the videos he's done for clients, like I don't think he would have had the, what word am I looking for? You know, I don't think he would have had the praise for some of the content he's created on behalf of some of these brands. Essentially, like I don't know how much he was charging these people, but I don't think it would have probably been enough at that moment in time. But like you said, you've got to do these type of stuff to get the content. Do you know what I mean? You've got to work really hard for these brands, and you've got to praise the fact that they are letting you come in and, you know, put their brand in a better light. And you've definitely done that with a lot of the videos I've seen you create for businesses. So if there's something in particular that you're like, not even if it was something that like looked really good, maybe it was just a shoot, like you enjoyed the day so much, you know what I mean, or even the way they treated you. Like I have some people, it's like, okay, the work that I'm doing for them isn't great, but the way that client treats me is like incredible. I'm like, what? They're on the other side of the world and they're doing this for me, and they're going out of their way to make sure I'm comfortable. So yeah, I just want to try and paint a picture for someone, like we said, is just getting into doing this, and they don't really see not the benefits, but there's a lot more that comes to it than just a paycheck, I think, personally.
Of course. Well, first and foremost, I have to mention the fact that at least recently, as of like this year, I haven't worked with anyone that I didn't like. So I think this is a very important thing.
Same.
First and foremost, I have to like the client. I have to also like what they're doing, and I have to be passionate about what they're doing, because if I'm not passionate about them and about their craft, I won't be able to actually do my best in like portraying a good story and actually helping them stand out with their content. So I cannot definitely say a certain project or a certain client, because I love most of the work that I've done. I would say 95% of it I really enjoyed doing, from like the shoot to like editing to like doing certain revisions over and over again. I enjoyed all of that. But I would say that the satisfaction and the price and everything that goes beyond the financial gain is when you truly and genuinely believe in what the client is doing and what the client is either selling or what the client is portraying, or the message and their mission. Like if you don't align with that, I think that's going to like show, and you won't be able to work with that client again, or you won't be able to have a genuine trusted relationship with them, and that's going to show through your work. Like if you don't like a certain client or a certain project, they'll come back to you and be like, I want this change and that change. You'll be like, oh, hold on, this is this much extra amount of money because I respect my time. Like as much as that's cool, I feel like whenever you care about the client and whenever you care about the project, that's going to show through the way you treat the client and the project.
Definitely.
And as much as that might cost you time, energy, and money in the short term, that's going to be the thing that makes you different, because that client is going to notice and they're going to remember how you treated them. Like I have clients now calling me back after 2 years and they are like, when are you back in London? Like, I need to make this masterclass. I had a client the other week. She was like, I want to film a huge masterclass. I was like, look, I'm not in London right now. I have people that I work with back there, so I can definitely direct the whole shoot, but I cannot come there. She was like, no, I can wait for you. When are you coming back? Because I want to work just with you. So that's the thing. When you care and you generally align with their mission, I think that's when it shows. It shows through your fulfillment, and it shows through the work that you do.
Definitely, man. And I think that's so important, man. And I literally had a client text me yesterday saying about something, I won't go into detail, but saying how good this something had gone for them. And I literally replied, I was like, look, I only work with clients that I truly believe in and that I like to this at this moment in time. And I think like when you're first getting clients, of course, you're going to be like, yep, I'll do this, I'll do that, I'll do this, I'll do that. And like you said, I think when you take on clients just for the money, and I know it's hard to say like just for the money, because of course everyone needs to go and, you know, get their money. Do you know what I mean? But when you have a client that you truly believe in their product and their service, and obviously the individual, the business owner, it truly does go through into the work that you put into it, because you're happy to spend an extra half an hour, you know, finalizing stuff. Whereas if it's something that you're not really that passionate about, because I've worked with tons of industry and niches that I don't really know anything about. Like, not that I don't know anything about, but, you know, I can make a nice video for that industry. I can make a nice graphic for that industry.
Yeah.
When it comes to like writing captions and stuff like that, if it's an industry that I know and I'm passionate about, which for me is the fitness industry, just to clarify that, I'm working with a client in the fitness industry at the moment, and it shows because I've got previous experience in the fitness industry. I know what I'm talking about in the fitness industry. And it isn't like I've got to go in and research another industry and, you know, say, oh, okay, this is what's going to work for it. It's because I know, and it sort of comes through in that work. So yeah, I think that's a very, very important thing. And that is one bit of advice that I would say for, you know, the guys watching and listening, is like, it will be very, very hard in the beginning, especially if it's like going to be your sole like income generating, you know, business. And that's why I always say, like, if I could go back and change anything, not that I really would, and I still feel kind of silly saying this, but I wish I would have stayed in my 9-to-5 job a little longer and just really defined who I wanted to help, in a sense, and not just taking on jobs because I'm like, look, I've gone self-employed, or, you know, I've started my own business and I need to.
That's what I did.
Do you know what I mean? I need to make some money. Yeah, that's what I did as well. Like I literally replaced my income of working in the gym, but then you're relying on yourself, right? So of course people come to you and you're like, yeah, I'll do that, I'll do that, yeah, I'll do that,
Exactly.
and then you're just in this massive pool of stuff, and you've got stuff going on everywhere. So my sole advice would be like, don't be afraid to stay at the job you're working at. Like, fucking work hard outside of it, but then really think about who you want to work with, who you want to help. Don't just say yes to anyone and everyone because it's going to put money in your pocket. Because money, I know it's hard to say, but like, money isn't everything. Like, if you can survive off of your 9-to-5 job and then start building that stuff up as well, but with people that you actually give a fuck about, like to thingy, you know, and that would be my advice, because it is nothing worse than working for yourself and not enjoying the work that you're doing.
Absolutely.
So yeah,
Couldn't agree more.
Yeah, that would be what I would say. And of course, it's really hard when you're first starting to define who you want to help. So that's why I always say, like we said when we was talking about outreach, is like, really define who you want to help, who you want to work with, and then you will do anything and everything you can to work with them people. So I've done loads of, and people always talk about free work, and I know that you would have definitely done a lot of free work over the time. Like 9 times out of 10, pretty much all creators have at some point in their life. If they haven't, then I don't know what they've been doing. But there's loads of people that I've literally gone to and created videos for, because like I said, they're ideal clients of mine. And it goes back to that like, no trust thing of like, if someone comes to me and they're like, oh, I've created this video for you, and you can see that they've spent time and effort doing it, then of course I'm going to be like, oh, what the hell? Like, maybe I'm not looking for a video editor at that time, but like reversing the script a little bit now, but in like 6 months time, when I need a video editor, I'm going to remember that person that just come to me on Instagram and was like, oh, you know, I edited this video for you. And I've done that in the past and it does work. But like I said, they're not just people I'm going to because I'm looking to get a check out of them. They're people that I genuinely want to work with. I enjoy their content, and you know, I would want to work with them. You mentioned it previously a little bit about the video editors and stuff, but talk to me a little bit just before we wrap up about like teams and outsourcing. And like what you said, you went from being like your solo video producer to now working online, working with Asana, and sort of directing a team. So talk to me talk to me first how it first started, like you just go into shoots, filming stuff, editing, like that whole process, versus now like where you've tried to automate it and build a team around what you're doing.
Of course. Very good question. So it's how it was before COVID. At the prime of my self-employed video production services, I used to like probably 9 out of 10 projects would come to me. I wouldn't have to do any outreach because the work and the clients that I worked with in the past would speak for myself. So that wasn't a big issue getting clients. The issue, however, was the fact that I was getting so many projects that at some point I would have to like either run out of sleep, not eat, not do like household stuff in order to be able to finish projects on time. And it got to a point in March that I had to literally delay a lot of projects purely for the fact that I took so much work on and I thought that I would be able to handle it, that I pissed off a couple of my good clients, and I really regretted that afterwards. And I realized that I cannot do everything myself. So now going back to the present moment, I realized that I can delegate work. Like as long as I am a good leader and like I know how to oversee the work that my team is doing, and I know how to teach them and how to coach them to edit properly, to write captions properly, it's just a matter of time until I can actually rely fully on them. So I think that's the biggest mindset shift, was the fact that us as entrepreneurs, as people that like the hard work and all that, we tend to like not want to let go of work. We think that we can do everything ourselves, and as much as I used to work 16 hours, 18 hours days to be able to get everything done, you can only do that for so long and you're gonna get burnt out. And also, let's be honest, like this work is not like hugely income generating. Like the income is done through sales, to meeting people, to like optimizing systems. It's not done through like editing or like writing captions on social media or like doing Photoshop. As much as that's good when you start, you have to realize that you have to move away from your business and actually have systems and people to delegate the work to. So I think that was the shift there this year.
Amazing. And just to touch on that as well, is like I think there's a lot of people in this sort of industry, or in the SMMA sort of industry, if you like, that have had a lot of success, and it tends to be the people that aren't creatives. And I know me and you would probably classify ourselves as creatives, but I think it's a blessing and a curse in a sense, because like you said, there's people that will come into this, and if they're not creative, of course, they're not going to be sitting editing their clients' videos. They're not going to be sitting in Canva or Photoshop making graphics and edits. Like, they're focused on bringing clients in. And I think that has been probably a downfall in the years for myself, of like, it would have made so much more sense for me to just be like, no, look, I'm not editing this. I'm not making the videos for this. I'm not doing the graphics. Like, I'm going to hire a team straight away. And it definitely is a hard thing, but like you said, once you can build a relationship with someone that you can coach and train and put systems in place. And by the way, guys, it only takes you doing it yourself once and recording it and having that proof of concept and having that video that you can just send to someone and just say, look, this is exactly how I do it. And that probably changed a lot for me, just simply recording my processes. And with screen recorders and even like cameras, literally just filming yourself doing something, that's easily how you can scale something straight away. So even the writing the captions, like he could just go on, write 15 captions for one of his clients, film it, talk about why he's writing the captions the way he is, and then be able to send that video to a VA and say, look, can you do the next 15 captions? Just follow the same process that I did in the video. And then they've learned. And you'd be surprised the people that you meet on these sort of platforms, these freelancers and people that are so excited to be a part of your team and are so excited to be coached by you as well. So I think that's really important. obviously this is the Designer Future podcast, and it seems like you definitely have changed over the years that we've met, which is so sick to see, man. Like the progression that you've made, and like you said, you went from that fitness competitor to making this amazing content for other brands, and you know you've clearly got raving fans that are literally waiting for you to come back to another country to film content. So first of all, like, hats off for that, man. And like I said, we'll link his stuff in the description below, because you need to check out some of his videos. They're insane. But where are you sort of looking to be in the next sort of 12 months or so?
Right. First and foremost, thank you so much for acknowledging me. I really appreciate it. I'm humbled. Well, I think that for all of us, whether we accept it or not, our worlds have changed with the pandemic. So it really made me realize that.
Did you go home because of the pandemic?
It was one of the reasons. It was one of the reasons purely because I didn't know whether things will get worse. And like now, seeing that the UK has went forward and gave another 6 months of like regulations, I'm really, really happy that I came back. Because I was doing everything in person. So that was
what's
very
it like there?
At the moment, it's not as restrictive as in like.
Because you was in central London as well, right? So that's like, it's like not the same at all.
Yeah, the difference between London and here is obviously the expenses that I had back in London. And like, obviously when the pandemic started, I was working from home. Like, I didn't leave my house. So I was like, what's the purpose of being here when I can actually do the same thing, being at home, reducing all my expenses and actually taking that money and investing it wisely? Like, there was no point in being in London. So that's why, that was the main reason. But coming back to your question and what I'm planning for the next 12 months, it's basically properly have all my systems in place and be able to like work remotely and onboard a couple of new clients that I truly believe in and I want to work with, and basically have a bulletproof remote business that I can operate from anywhere, no matter what happens. Because to be honest, like, seeing this year revolving under my eyes, I'm like, you can never know what happens. So it's clear for me now that everything is moving virtually. It's clear for me now that most of the meetings that I'm gonna have are gonna be through Zoom. I'm not gonna have to necessarily be in London or like any other big city anymore. Like traveling will probably be restricted for at least another 6 months. So I'm looking at literally setting a solid foundation for a remote business currently.
Amazing, man. Amazing. Well, thank you so much for coming on. It's been a long one. So if people are still watching, make sure you smash the like button, smash the subscribe button, and we'll see you in the next video. And like I said, I'm going to leave Pascu's link in the description for his Instagram, or I don't know what he wants me to plug, but I'll definitely plug it below. So yeah, thanks again for watching and listening, people. And I'll see you in the next episode. Take care, guys. Bye. Hollywood 6.